by our solicitor regarding Sodexo. So the voting delegate, well, we'll do that new business after the personnel approval. Procedures for public participation, they're on the inside cover, and it's basically that when we call for public participation, either on agenda items or after our agenda items on any other items, you come to the podium, state your name and address, sign your name, and you have 3 minutes to discuss your issue. We've had a couple instances recently that we'll talk more about in August, but improper, inappropriate language and inappropriate comments, and we're going to have to see that that is discontinued, but I'm sure that's not going to happen tonight. This is a very small agenda. Are there any presentations by the public on the one agenda item? Seeing none, we'll move on to personnel approvals. Is there a motion to approve the appointment of Mr. Spores?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Basil, second by Mr. Radowski. Comments or questions by the board? Seeing none, Mr. Basil?
Mr. Basil, yes. Mr. Doty?
Yes.
Mr. Speed?
Yes.
Mr. Radowski?
Yes.
Mr. Martino?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
And that would have been the quickest meeting in history, except for these other items.
Nice. I know.
Yes, I'm
We
sorry.
already passed agenda items, but I was.
I'm sorry. That's my fault for not asking.
I believe we had a couple items that facilities was looking to potentially move forward that Mr. Weinfeller had for this evening. So if we could add them at the end as well.
Just facilities?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. If the board members, if you read the PSBA emails that come out daily, one of them talked about the board selecting voting delegates for the delegate assembly meeting in October, and that was sent to all the school board secretaries and with a response form. So if anyone's interested, let Mr. Basil know that you're interested. If you would, Andrew, I am interested. I attended last year. I'd like to attend this year again.
Do we have to vote on that?
I don't think we have to vote on it. I think we just, as a consensus, who we want representing us.
Sounds good to me.
Are you implying you would vote against me? Or
No.
I'm just curious.
I just want to make sure nobody.
No, it's voluntary, and more than one person can go.
Okay.
So,
You want to be a delegate? You want to accompany it?
No.
We can give you our approval.
I prefer not.
All right.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, what's the next one?
the next one, I received a phone call from Mr. Subers at about 6:55, and he explained this to me. Board action is requested to authorize the solicitor to initiate legal action against Sodexo Operations, LLC. I'll text this to you, Andrew. Regarding the financial guarantees under the district's food service management contract. So we need a motion to authorize the solicitor.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Doty, second by Mr. Radowski. Comments or questions? Mr. Basil?
Mr. Doty?
Yes.
Mr. Speed?
Yes.
Mr. Twardowski?
Yes.
Mr. Basil, yes. Mr. Martino?
Yes.
Motion approved 5-0.
Thank you. I just sent this to you.
Thank you.
Facilities.
There were two things that the facilities committee had talked about and was recommending that they would like to get done during the summer. And the first one was, if you remember when we recommended reducing the security guards at the high school from 3 to 2. We also recommended upgrading the camera system for that, and so they would like to do that. We did get 3 proposals. The lowest, I believe, was $22,700, and then also the Noxie parking lot work. They'd like to get that done before school starts too, and they have a not to exceed number of $8,500 for that one. So I don't know. do you have anything that you'd like to add to that? But they were both things that were recommended by the facilities committee, and that were budgeted in the next budget, I believe, Mr. Small, correct?
And the totals, what?
The cameras were 22,700, and the parking lot was 8,500.
It's 3120, 31.2 rather.
Yes.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve that?
We do this together?
Sure.
Okay. I move to approve the cameras at 22.7 and the parking lot not to exceed 8,500.
Second that motion?
Moved by Mr. Doty, second by Mr. Radowski. Comments or questions? Mr. Basil?
Oh, 1 second.
Tried to make it dense.
She
Just
could
slow
have texted
later.
it to him.
Okay. Mr. Doty, Mr. Speed,
Yes.
Ms. Twardowski,
Yes.
Mr. Basil, yes. Mr. Doty,
Yes.
Mr. Martino.
Yes.
Motion approved 5-0.
Is there any other old business or new business? Seeing none, are there any presentations by the public on any issue?
Just wait, push it hard, and the red light will go on around the mic itself. There you go.
Good evening. Sorry to make your meeting go longer, but we're here because my son Dominic is just finished kindergarten at a private school and he's going into first grade. I don't know if you're all familiar with the situation. I emailed you guys. If you want me to read the letter or just continue. Anyway, he is. Everything is ready for first grade except for his age. I called to get him to find out if he could go to first grade at Boone. They said yes, they checked with their superiors. He was registered, all the paperwork's finished, and then we get a call that he is not okay to come because of his age. I know that there is a policy in place, and we're asking that you make a move to change that policy since it's pretty outdated. There's a lot of reasons behind it that I outlined in the email, but that's what we're hoping. If it doesn't get changed with enough time, if we could make an exception for him, because he would be coming in second grade anyway, so it's something that is very temporary.
I know, I think that policy was updated in 2013, and Mr. Basil, you were on the board. It's my understanding, I did read the policy today. It's my understanding until they're 8, they can't come in unless they're that age before December, or, so it talked about something referenced when they were 8, they'd come in at any time.
Mr. Riley, you have a copy of the policy there?
I have it.
I also.
Or is it are we just worried about kindergarten and first grade?
From what I understand, originally it was kindergarten and first grade.
And your son doesn't turn 6 until December?
The policy's just for kindergarten and first grade.
I don't know what I was, oh,
Well, has phase 2 been followed here at all in terms of, the building principal, the guidance counselor, and the psychologist sitting down and talking to the family and interviewing the child in question?
No, I suggested that, but it was kind of the policy says no.
Well, the policy says early admission.
Yeah, the child doesn't meet the birthday portion of that in order to be considered. I believe it's November 30th, yeah.
Which is hard for us to swallow for 30 days. Both of us went a year early, and academically, he went to a very rigorous kindergarten. He's reading above entry level for first grade, so he's mature-wise ahead of the game as well as academically.
Yeah, I mean, just so you understand, obviously, when we were doing the policy, I think the issue we had to draw the line in the sand somewhere in terms of at what point do you, I'm sorry, let me have that then. Mr. Speed. At what point do you say, okay, it's, is it September 30th, is it October 30th, is it, what's the date?
Right.
And then anybody that we draw the line in at December 30th, well, somebody can make the argument, well, it's only another 30 days till January 30th, so let's make it January 30th. And then the argument is for February, and it just goes on and on. So I can't remember exactly the reason why we picked November 30th, but there was a rationale behind that date. Having said that, in my personal opinion, is the number of kids forthcoming beyond the deadline is so few and infrequent that I don't see why it would be a harm to the district to sit down and interview the child and just take a look at what their emotional maturity level is, so that they can, and if it's mature enough to move forward and enroll in the full school, then by all means, let's do it. I mean, we want high-achieving kids in the school district to begin with, so we don't want our policies working against us.
That's basically what our focus is. We just want our son to be able to come in. We sent him to a private school, anticipating that eventually he'd be able to come to Boone. And at this point, we pulled him out of his private school because we were under the impression he was admitted when we got all the paperwork saying your son is now enrolled. And basically, our fear now is we've prepared him to come here, and we don't want to see, having to say to him, all right, well, we told you that you weren't going to your old school, you had to say bye to all your old friends, and then we got to put him back in his old school, if we can even get him into his old school at this point in time. And, we just want to try and get him his education, that we all got as children.
And where he can be consistent. God forbid we can't get him back into the old school and we're putting him into a new school, and then in second grade coming to Boone anyway, that's just not good.
I think we understand where you guys are coming from.
Yeah.
Yes, you get a comment, Mr. Speaker?
Mr. Hurley, what's the ramifications of having Dominic evaluated?
There's no real ramifications. I think the issue, and I think the parents are pointing this out here, is readiness, and I think you were also doing, is the child ready or not? And I don't think they're arguing against providing us with the appropriate documentation, meeting with the principal, the guidance counselor, they appear to be willing to do that and meet their piece of it for consideration for this.
Can our folks handle that between now and, when does this have to be done?
We need to start.
Wait now.
Yeah, we can do this.
I would assume that we can vote to make an exception to the policy, just like any other policy.
Yep.
And that's really what we would need to do.
You want to make a motion?
We're not done talking.
That's my question. We can make that exception.
Well, my thoughts were very similar, that, it seemed like a small amount of time to pull this kid back if he's already prepared and ready for it. I would say I would just prefer that it come with some condition of recommendation. I think that would be something that would make me comfortable.
Well, there are guidelines in here for that, which is one of the things I was going to talk about.
Okay.
A couple of things. One, I don't really want this to be precedent setting. I think that the issue we haven't discussed here is it's our mistake for telling you, yes, your son could be registered. So, assuming we don't make another mistake, until such time, if and when the policy were changed. I have a couple things, no problem saying. Are you familiar with the guidelines for early admission?
Yeah, well, when we were looking into possibly doing it for kindergarten, I did review them about getting evaluated by your psychologist, right?
They're basically the same. The child must successfully perform 90% of the activities listed on the kindergarten report card here. Must clearly demonstrate social and emotional maturity necessary, and final recommendation will be given to the district superintendent by the building principal, and it talks about who's involved in this evaluation. It also goes on to say that any cost is borne by the parents. I don't know that it would actually cost very much, if anything, would it?
These people are already on staff right now, so.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Just so you know that if there were
If
any
you would have to do an
costs
outside agency, or?
If that were the case, but I don't think that would be necessary. The other thing I wanted to say, because works very well in your favor, in 1951, with no kindergarten, I started first grade and I was born a day after your son. And the board will tell you how well adjusted I am. So
I'll give you a better example. I was born maybe 7 days before their son, and I started early
I
as
was
well.
born after their son.
I'm a better example.
And we did too. You know, we know some of the ramifications later on in life and maturity, and he's, you know, good size. He's not a little puny. I mean, the research we've done is far, and as an educator, I've seen kids go both ways. Kids who should have stayed and kids who, you know, and you know your kid, like, you know your child.
We had long discussions just amongst the two of us to figure out if we felt he was prepared. Then we approached, when he was in daycare, we approached his daycare people who, the daycare he went to had good education. We approached his teacher from kindergarten and said, do you feel that if we move him to public schools, is he ready? And every person we approached about, is he academically, physically, and mentally ready to be here, has always said to us, yes, he's ready. He copes well, he adjusts well, he's intelligent. He's just like any normal kid. And we spend time working with him to make sure that, we're doing our part as well. No kid's going to learn without teacher-parent participation. And we put our participation in with him as well to see to it that he remains ready to go and on the level of all the other students. And we expect him to excel even higher. I want my child to be high, not low. So we put that time and effort forward with him to see to it that he's not ever, falling behind the other students.
If you weren't aware, Mr. Hurley is currently our acting superintendent. Do you have any thoughts about?
Yeah, I think that, again, it comes down to the readiness situation, and when we look at it, we had a mistake on our part, and we want to try to make sure that we're placing the child in the right spot, and that's where I'm coming from.
So, okay. I'm sorry, could you give me your last name one more time?
Stout, S-T-O-U-D-T.
Are we done with the discussion?
Yes.
Okay, I make a motion to allow Dominic Stout test for early admission to the first grade.
Second.
No other comments or questions, Mr. Basil?
Roll call. Okay, Ms. Twardowski.
Yes.
Mr. Basil, yes. Mr. Doty.
Yes.
Mr. Speed.
Yes.
Mr. Martino.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
You're welcome. Any other public presentations? Presentations by the public? Seeing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.